So today we're going to talk about FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence Retiring Early. Now, if you guys have been on Instagram or TikTok or even YouTube, you would have come across this term for sure. So in this video, I'm going to try and explain to you guys what FIRE actually is, how it works, how the numbers stack up, and then I'm going to talk about my personal plan when it comes to retiring early and what I plan to do, and I'm going to be as transparent with you guys as possible to give you guys the most value as well. So let's get into it. So let's talk about what FIRE actually is. Now, of course, there's strong emphasis on retiring early and being financially independent, and if you're watching this video, chances are you are a Gen Z or millennial, and the fact that you have to work for the next 40 to 50 years of your life does sound pretty depressing, let's be very honest here. And the thing is, a lot of these people have now realized that they don't want to actually work for that long and kind of reap the rewards of life when they're 65 and when they retire. They want to kind of reap those rewards much quicker than that, and that is where the FIRE movement comes into play. And these so-called rewards that I'm referring to refer to stuff like having more time to spend with your family, having money to go on holidays, and just living a life and just doing stuff that you actually want to do and not doing stuff because you have to do them. Because if you really think about it, people often defer these, rewards of life towards the end of the life period when it comes to retirement. And the issue with that is the fact that when you're old, you're not going to be able to have much time to actually spend with your kids or your family. You are going to have less energy, so you can only do so much at that stage. Now, because of social media, we are seeing so many teenage millionaires who are living that laptop lifestyle, digital nomads who are working from a laptop, and online entrepreneurs. And when people see those types of people just traveling around the world and doing stuff like that, working 40 hours per week for 40 years does sound very depressing for a lot of people. And this is why the FIRE movement has gained a lot of popularity, because people have now realized that they actually don't need to work until 65 to retire. They can do it a lot sooner with just a normal income. Now, having a normal income is fine, and it is very doable at that income level as well, but do keep in mind that it is not easy and you do have to make sacrifices when it comes to your spending and other stuff as well. So FIRE is about saving as much income as possible and increasing your savings rate. Now, your savings rate can be done by two ways. Either you can increase your income, and this can be done by picking up extra hours at work, maybe doing extra shifts, maybe working overtime, or you can pick up a second job to kind of supplement your income and earn more money. You could start to do online surveys or some sort of online income that you could develop. Or on the other side of the coin, which is decreasing your expenses. Now, this can be basically cutting back on coffees and other stuff, using discounts, using all these other methods where you can kind of get cashbacks and really watching your spending. And of course, when your income goes up, the aim is to not increase your expenses by the same proportion and to keep it the same, and to not let lifestyle inflation get ahead of you. So the aim of FIRE is not to hoard all this cash that you now have saved up because you're working two jobs and you've got all this savings available. It's to actually invest in broad market index funds or ETFs. And ideally, the aim is to do this as early as possible. And what I mean by that is the fact that if you can get started as early as possible when it comes to your age, maybe at 18 or your early 20s, this can put you very much ahead as compared to someone who just started in their 30s. And this is all to do with taking advantage of compound interest. Now, on average, the market returns somewhere around 6 to 10% per year, and that is how much your investment grows each year. Now, of course, guys, there are crashes as well, but this figure actually includes crashes already. And since this is an average figure, what this means is that some years you might get a return of 15%, some years the return might be even negative, some years the return might be 2, 3, 4%. But if you look at it on an average time frame on a scale of, let's say, 50 to 100 years, you will reach that ballpark figure of 6 to 10% per year. Now, if we use an example of investing, let's say $100 per week at 7% for 40 years, you will have roughly $1 million in 40 years time. Now, this is just based on a lot of assumptions, of course, but the FIRE community obviously wants to get there very much early. Of course, they don't want to retire in 40 years. They want to do it much quicker. So what they do is that with all that increased income and decreased expenses, what they do is that they're going to be trying to invest much more quicker. So instead of investing $100 per week, they're going to be aiming for somewhere around, let's say, for example, $500 per week. And based on this example, they can get to a portfolio of $1 million in just 20 years time, which is half the time, and in 40 years, if they were to keep on investing $500 per week, they will have a portfolio of around $5 million, which is 5x the return. Now, if you're hustling very hard and you've got dual incomes and you're watching your expenses and you've got a partner as well who's also into this sort of stuff, you can actually get to this figure much quicker than 20 years, but then again, it's all up to you. Now, as you guys can see, this is very alluring to Gen Z and millennials because you can literally retire early with just a normal income and living frugally as well. So that's all well and good, but if you were to have $1 million in, let's say, 20 years time, surely that's not enough to live off of. After all, you still have many decades in front of you, so what do? Well, that is where the safe withdrawal rate comes into play, so let's talk about it. So based on the safe withdrawal rate, in theory, you need about 25 times your annual expenses to retire. So if your annual expenses are, let's say, $40,000 per year, you need roughly around $1 million invested to retire. And when I say retire, I'm not talking in a very luxurious sense. I'm talking in a very general sense, in a sense that you have just enough money to just cover your basic expenses, and that's basically it. So how this works is that, let's say that we use the example of your living expenses being $40,000 per year, and if we have a $1 million portfolio and the safe withdrawal rate is, let's say, 4%, you can sell off 4% of your portfolio and you'll get $40,000 per year and still have the bulk of the portfolio left at $960,000 in this example. So this $960K grows the next year at 7% and you'll get a figure which is $1,027,000, and then the next year you withdraw $40,000 again, and then this number grows by 7% once again. So what's happening is that you're withdrawing money, but then your portfolio is also growing at that 7% each year, and you're retaining the portfolio balance, so the actual bulk of the portfolio never goes down in value, at least in theory. So based on this, you might be able to start working part-time, do less hours at work, or if your living expenses are quite small, you might be even able to completely retire and actually just quit your job. Now, of course, guys, this does include quite a lot of assumptions, and most people may not be able to retire at 40K per year, so they might need somewhere around 60 to 80K, and that means that instead of having a portfolio of $1 million, they might want to work for a goal at about 1.5 or even 2 million, and that might be more appropriate. Once you start to invest and your portfolio starts to keep on growing, the effect of compounding comes into play and you reach your goals much quicker. So basically what I'm trying to say is that going from 1.5 million to 2 million is going to be much quicker and even much easier than going from 1 million to 1.5, and this is all due to the effect of compounding. And guys, just keep in mind that if you are on this financial journey just like me, your first $100,000 in investments is going to be the hardest 100K that you're ever going to make. For me personally, it took about 3 to 4 years to actually get to that point, but afterwards I can see a huge acceleration in terms of the actual growth. So guys, just stay the course. I promise it's worth it. So basically, in a nutshell, that is what the FIRE community is all about. So guys, my plan when it comes to this whole financial independence journey is the fact that right now I'm investing roughly around $3,500 per month, and based on a conservative return of about 7% per year, I should be able to reach $1 million in just 14 years, which to me, it's very exciting. Right now I'm 22, and when I reach that eventual goal of reaching $1 million, I'll be in my mid to kind of late 30s, which I think is still very young. And it's not a bad time to be a millionaire at all. Touch wood, it all goes well. Now in the FIRE community, a lot of these people talk about the magic amount you need to retire, but personally, I haven't really thought about it too much, I'll be very honest. So right now, I'm just focusing on the inputs, which are investing regularly $3,500 per month. And if I'm investing in the right sort of stuff, in the right companies and the right ETFs, the actual returns should take care of themselves. At least that's the way that I'm thinking about it anyways. In terms of what I'm buying into, my portfolio mostly consists of about 65 to 70% into ETFs, and then the 30% is individual stocks or crypto. And the whole rationale behind this portfolio composition is the fact that ETFs give a rough return of about 7% per year, but if I can spend the time to do some research and if I can pick the right stocks, I should be able to get a return that is hopefully much higher than 7%, although it is much more risky. And this stock picking is going to allow me to reach financial independence a lot quicker, because Personally, I don't really like the idea of just investing into ETFs. I think that I could spend just a little bit of time researching into companies and I could get a bit of return, which is much higher than ETFs. Now, of course, no hate to people who just invest in ETFs. Of course, personal finance is very personal to the person, but for me, I think that is the right way to go. Now, I do have similar thoughts when it comes to crypto as well. Right now, we are in an insane bull market and I'm trying to capture that as well when it comes to my crypto. But of course, crypto is quite risky, so I've allocated a very little amount towards that as well, so I can capture some of that return. Because personally, my thoughts on crypto are that it is something that's going to grow in the future and the adoption is only going to grow. So as retail investors, we simply shouldn't just ignore it. But crypto is always a hot topic, so let me know what your thoughts are on this topic as well. Now, in terms of retiring, I'm not too sure what this means, to be very honest, when it comes to a very personal sense. I feel like I'll still be working in some sort of capacity even when I'm like 50 to 60 years old, but the only difference is going to be that I'll be working on the stuff that I actually want to work on, not because I have to work on it, and stuff that I'm actually passionate about, and stuff that hopefully adds value into the world. I don't think I'm one of those people that can just sit at a beach and just drink juice for the next few decades of my life and just sit there and just relax. Yeah, I don't think that's the right way to go personally. Now, of course, I will take breaks and take lots of vacations, but I don't think I can just keep on doing it for the next few decades or just doing it continuously. I would get very, very bored and just plain annoyed. So those were my thoughts on the topic. Hopefully you got some value out of it as well. Now guys, if you enjoyed this video, check out this one which talks about enjoying your 9 to 5. The stuff in this video helped me out quite a bit, and I think that if you have a full-time job, it can help you out quite a lot as well. So this is very informational, and this video is about money versus happiness. I've done some interesting breakdowns in this video, so check this out. And guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. So basically how this works is